Welcome to the Wrestling Council. I am your host, Commodore Bob, joined as usual by my good friend Hollywood Frank. And today it's a little bit different. Fortunately, we lost one of the greats, the bad guy, Razor Ramon, aka Scott Hall. Taken too soon, unfortunately. We all know the story. Very unfortunate. And but today we're going to talk about all our favorite memories of the guy and our favorite matches, our favorite moments. Talk about the effect that he had on the industry, and just on just some of the stories that we know that with his interaction with other wrestlers and what he meant to them. And last couple of days, we've seen a massive outpouring. So you know that the guy had a huge impact. But before we get going, let's see. As usual, we check to see who's in with us. Hicks Villain said, "Sup? What's up, Hicks Villain?" Said, "R.I.P. to the bad guy." Yes, sir.
Yes.
Courtney said, "Hey yo." Hashtag "Hey yo" was trending yesterday. That Belto got me. Yeah, it is. But yeah, and she said, "Saying goodbye to a childhood hero." Yeah, like I remember. I vaguely remembered him in AWA. Maldacito says, "Sup, all? What's up, Maldacito?" And today, usually we do our what's up, but today I think it's more apropos. We just go,
"Hey yo."
Hey yo.
But I remember when he was in AWA. Vaguely remember him in AWA. Remember him in NWA as the Diamond Stud. Didn't really know much about him until he hit WWE and he became Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
And that's really when his career took off. But I remember seeing a couple matches with him in AWA when he was tag team champions with Kurt Hennig. Scott Hall was around for a long time, man.
Yeah. And McMahon comes up with some good characters and some bad characters.
Yep.
Razor Ramon based on
Tony Montana.
Yeah, Tony Montana from Scarface. Great job, McMahon.
Yeah, it's one of those times when it just worked, and he loved that character too, man. Like he leaned into that character. I don't know if you could do that character today, but man, at the time he leaned into that character hard. But real quick though, before we get go any further, we do have our segment we like to call our favorite segments: good, the bad, and the ugly. Did I go last week or did you go first last week?
You did go last week.
So this week it's your turn, man. You guys share with us your good, your bad, and your ugly. Obviously, I'm pretty sure I know what everybody's ugly is going to be. But, yep. See what you got for me, man. Give me something good. Cheer me up a little bit.
Well, first off, NWO, you're NWO for life.
Yes, sir.
And the bad guy is with GOD for life.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, go
ahead. So my good, my bad, and my ugly is actually all WWE this week, to be honest with you. Which it's been a long time since I've been able to say that. What I liked was, oh man, Cowboy. The Cowboy on WWE. Cowboy Brock Lesnar.
Cowboy Brock. Dude, I'll tell you something right now. I'm impressed with Brock.
And I don't know if that belt went into the stands, but it came pretty close. I don't know if it hit. I couldn't tell if it went to the announce table or if it actually went like the first row or two of the stand.
Yeah.
When he threw that title belt. Woo! But yeah, Cowboy Brock looked really good.
Yeah.
So hats off to what they're doing with him. I'm not keen on the so-called unified belt idea, whatever. I haven't seen pictures of it,
I have.
so that's my
It's not
bad.
great.
I don't understand what they're doing with it because you're not going to have a unified champion for long.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. And then my ugly was that German suplex on the outside of the ring that broke Big E's neck.
That belly to belly, yeah.
If you have not seen it, man, he came down head first outside that when they German suplex him outside the ring, he went head first.
And not just head first, onto the crown of his head.
Yeah.
Like literally, like somebody.
Like you're like this. You're like this, going straight down.
Yeah, and like the damage report from the doctors, it's a freaking miracle he's not dead. Because that I believe it's the C1 and the C1 and the C6, I think are the two vertebrae that he broke. And usually when you have an injury to the C1, you either have permanent paralysis or death. And the fact that he didn't and the fact that one, they're fractured, they're not broken. So there's no bone fragments, there's no nerve damage. And he didn't break the other vertebrae in between is like a freaking miracle. But yeah, and like they're saying that he should make a full recovery, except for one little factor. There was one there's the doctor who used to be the guy who was who worked with WWE whenever they would add neck injuries and stuff like that. And I kind of don't want to say this because I don't want to put it out there, but because you know how it is, you don't want to say it and then it happens. But he said that injuries to the C1, because it's so delicate, it's basically like it's a little ring.
Yep.
He said that when it heals, sometimes it doesn't heal all the way. It doesn't heal properly. So basically, like the break will only heal part of the way. So I'm hoping and praying that he's wrong and that Big E makes a full recovery, because the fact that, you know, like everything has been a miracle so far from the report for that. So we'll keep hoping on that. So,
well, I think he's going to make a full recovery. It's just whether
or not he can get back in the ring.
Whenever he steps foot in the ring again, that's the question. Because, you know, I don't know exactly what Austin, Edge, Page, I don't know what kind of damage they did to their necks.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it took a while for Edge to come back. Ember Moon even had. Did Ember Moon have a neck injury?
No, I think it was a leg, and it was her Achilles, I believe.
Yeah, so Paige hasn't wrestled since then. Austin ever since Owen Hart power drived him, and it was a misfire. He always had neck injury, so I mean, he could be back, but I just don't know what kind of condition. Obviously, he's not going to be flying around and doing German suplexes for any time soon. Yeah,
and dude, this is exactly why I didn't want to say it. I don't want that, because you know I just want to put positive energy out into the world for him, because he's too nice. He's too nice of a guy. He's too great of a. He's too talented of a guy. He's too nice of a guy to know to have it taken away from him like that.
And as you can see, I'm on remote today. I'm at my mom's house because I have a doctor's appointment at 10 o'clock near her house. So
so Frank's camera looks like a potato. It's okay.
What's your GBU?
My GBU, my good. I finally, like, my shoulder's feeling better. It's still tight and it's stiff and kind of sore, but feeling better. So I actually sat down and I got caught up most of the way on the New Japan Cup, and holy shit, I have missed this so much. Oh my God, it's so many good matches, man. There's so many good matches. It sucks that we don't have more of the Western talent, you know, that they're able to travel back and forth. That's still going to be a problem for New Japan, and until that clears up, New Japan's going to kind of be they're gonna be working on a depleted roster. But god dang that, holy shit! Some of the best matches you're ever gonna see. And I loved when the tournament season comes up. The big three, New Japan Cup, the G1, and the best of the Super Juniors, and then obviously for tag team wrestling, World Tag League. Nobody does tournaments like New Japan does. Nobody. And this one, like so far, the best match I've seen, the best match so far has been Shingo Takagi versus Tomohiro Ishii. If you watch one match from New Japan this year, watch that one. These guys beat the shit out of each other. So it's awesome. I'm glad to be back and be able to sit down and just binge the crap out of it. But that's my good. My bad obviously is Big E's injury. The other thing too is I know Ridge Holland. If you watch the move that he performed, he made a rookie mistake. He grabbed him too high. He knew he grabbed him too high, and he didn't. And instead of resetting and getting so you could pop your hips and get him over, he tried to muscle him over. Biggie himself said this and said, this is not Ridge Holland's fault. Okay. This is just one of those things that happens. It's a lot like you said, what happened with Owen Hart, when he just wasn't in position properly. And, Steve Austin got injured. Same thing when Draws got injured by D'Lo. This kind of thing, it happens, unfortunately. And, Ridge Holland, whether you like him or you don't like him, this wasn't intentional. It wasn't his fault. It's just one of those things that happens. But that's my bad. And of course, the ugly, losing one of the greats. And we say that, we say that a lot, truly losing one of the greats. I don't think people I didn't realize how important Scott Hall was until about 6 or 7 years ago. All these wrestlers today who are making the money that they make today, who have the contracts that they have today, they owe a big debt to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Because those guys were two of the first people to realize that without the wrestlers, there is no business. That's one of the tricks that Vince pulled for a long time. Vince Senior and then Vince Junior. Never let your talent realize how important they are to your business. And a lot of people didn't like them for it at the time. A lot of people still think that they were very selfish people, but they were also like, look, man, we're in this, this is a career, all of us should be getting paid more. And so everybody that, all these big $500,000 a year contracts, whatever, these $3 million a year contracts that some of these guys got, they owe that to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
Okay.
Because
Eric Bischoff getting those guys over there. And
mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and I agree. Courtney, praying for Scott Hall, family, his son. Yeah, his son's wrestling. Maldacino, nice show, Bob. Can't wait to kick out of it. Come on, man. But yeah, that's the good, the bad, the ugly, guys. Try to keep it short and sweet. But we're gonna talk now. We're gonna talk about some of our favorite moments, our favorite matches from Scott Hall. Obviously, one of the biggest moments of all was when he jumped ship to WCW. Dude, I was talking. I put a couple posts up on Twitter. I remember the day that it happened. I literally remember vividly the day it happened because me, my buddy Mike, freaking Mike Young, dude. That dude was freaking batshit crazy. But me, Mike, Jeremy Simcoe, Eddie
miss that guy.
Celestino. Yeah.
Hey,
R.I.P. to Jeremy.
Hey, cops.
Cops. Guys, cops. Inside joke. We had a ritual, man, every Monday. The way he recruited people for the NWO. Every Monday, we went over to Mike's house, and we spent the next 3 hours watching wrestling. And we were kind of divided. Like half of us were WCW guys, and half of us were WWE guys. Hey, Joe M. Sontag, Mr. Reaper Destroyer himself. Guys, Joe's a great comic book creator. Didn't know it, but he's also a comic book fan. I mean, he's also a comic fan. He's also a wrestling fan. We were talking a little bit back and forth about the bad guy. Check out Joe's channel. Joe Sontag, he has an awesome show called Ott and Stuff, talking about different comics and everything. But appreciate you coming on, Joe. And actually, we're going to drop the link for the stream, and everybody can come on and talk about their favorite moments with Scott Hall, if anybody wants to come on and talk about it. But this was before I became like a hard. I was a wrestling fan. I wasn't a hardcore wrestling fan, so I didn't read. I occasionally read some of the magazines. I didn't read the dirt sheets. I didn't. Oh God, here we go. What's up, Johnny?
Johnny Cage.
This week sucked.
This week was terrible, man. It was a rough week. But we knew that he had left WWE, and the rumor was that he was going to be coming to WCW, but we didn't realize how big of a deal it was going to be. But that Monday Nitro, though, man, when he came out, the freaking crowd. What's up, Joe?
Hey,
guys. Hey, I just wanted to jump on real quick because I've got
dinner
was cooking upstairs, but
no problem, man.
Yeah, if I could just
go for it.
Scott Hall, right? One of the coolest wrestlers in the history of the game. When Kevin Nash invaded WCW, I think that was one of the coolest times for wrestling. You know, you had the NWO coming, you had these storylines that were a little bit more like realistic now, like you know, fights in the back, parking lots and all this kind of stuff. You legitimately thought that these guys were coming from the WWF and invading WCW. Like it was that well put together, and a lot of that was Scott Hall, going to Eric Bischoff and saying like, I got this idea, and he brought Kevin Nash with him. And I mean, he helped change wrestling in the 90s, hands down.
Oh, dude, there's so many stories where like Chris Jericho credits him for giving him the biggest win of his career. Like because at the time Chris Jericho was like, he was kind of languishing in the mid card and like the junior heavyweight, the light heavyweight and everything. Until
cruiserweights.
He had a match with Scott Hall, and Hall was supposed to win that match.
Oh,
but
really?
Towards the end of the match, he leans into Chris Jericho and he whispers, "Roll me up." So he's like on the fly, he chose to change it, and that was like the biggest win of Chris Jericho's career.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's the kind of dude he was.
He jobbed for a lot of guys.
Yeah,
if you think of his WCW career, I mean, and I know he struggled with alcohol and substance abuse and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of derailed his wrestling career in general. But if you think of his WCW career, him coming on as such a big name from Razor Ramon, in coming to the WCW, you would have thought they would have put him on a path to do something more than what they did with him, tag team champions, maybe put the belt on him at some point. But he did like Diamond Dallas Page. I mean, he took the diamond cutter from Diamond Dallas Page to get the pops and lift him up. Like he did that stuff for guys. And I always I didn't really think about it until you said that right now, Bob. That like that might have been just his way of who he was. But I always kind of thought like he got buried a little bit, and I was like, why is this guy not winning more? He played the bad guy very well. And he didn't mind losing to the good guys, and that just shows you like he did what was the best for probably the product at the time.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that was like for him it seemed like a rising tide lifted all ships.
Yeah.
You know, he was all about he and Nash got a lot of crap. And a lot of people blame them for the eventual fall of WCW because the way their contracts were structured, that whenever they would bring a new guy in, if those guys were getting paid more than them, they would get bumped up to equal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was them looking at the business saying, listen, we're the like I said, like they learned from the McMahon era, McMahon, and being like, we're the important elements here.
Yeah.
So they were, you know, and like I said, every wrestler today who has these contracts that are designed like far better than they used to be, they owe a debt to those guys for doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, they changed a lot of things. And I'll just say this before I jump off here. You know, Scott Hall was one of the guys that helped with the creation of the Crow Sting look.
Yep.
You know,
he's the one who gave me the idea.
He gave what was it, Steve Borden? He gave Steve Borden the idea when he was, you know, trying to reinvent himself. And I don't know if it was him that helped convince Hogan or if it was Nash, but you know, I mean, they did a lot of stuff. And if it wasn't for him making the initial jump, I don't think Kevin Nash would have done it. You know, like he was the first one to make that jump and take the money from Eric Bischoff and got Kevin Nash to follow him. And without that move, I don't think WCW would have been what it was. Wrestling wouldn't have been what it was because you wouldn't have had the Monday Night Wars, which made everything better.
Yeah,
everything, you know, better with the Monday Night Wars.
That era, that section of time changed everything. It completely changed everything. It didn't just change, you know, WCW. It didn't just change their careers. It changed WWE. Yeah. It changed how the entire industry approached things because it had to. You know, basically it was Hall and Nash going to WCW basically dragged the industry kicking and screaming into the future. And without that, and whether you were a WCW fan or not, whether you were fans of those guys or not, whether you blame them for the eventual demise of WCW, which I blame Vince Russo more for that than anybody else.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that went into WCW falling. You know.
But without that era, without those two guys setting it all off, you don't have the modern era of wrestling. And honestly, you don't have AEW.
Yeah.
You don't have a company like that.
You're right. You know, you gotta give them credit for where credit's due, for sure.
Yeah. You don't have the Attitude Era with Stone Cold, The Rock, McMahon's on-screen character. You don't have that.
Yeah, they pushed WWF to go in the direction they went for one, competition, and two, you saw WWF copying what they did with like their skits or whatever, their behind the scenes dramas. You know, you saw now Stone Cold and Brian Pillman, you know, doing their, you know, legendary kind of feud and with the gun in the house thing, if you remember what I'm talking about, you know, that was all spawned
because a whole nother story.
But that was all spawned because of what they were doing over in WCW, because they took it outside the ring, they made it bigger. I mean, I remember one story when the NWO first formed after Bash at the Beach, and they Hall, Nash, and Hogan came to whatever show it was. There was an outside show, and they came with their baseball bats, and they had that rumble in the back where they're beating up Mysterio.
Oh, they threw Rey Mysterio like a lawn dart.
Yeah, just right into like the trailer. And they were saying that they were having calls, like actually calls to the police, thinking that there was this riot or this like gang war, you know, breaking out, because that's like how realistic it was just in general, you know, like, I've got crazy amount of respect for Scott Hall for what he did. You know, I wish his career had gone better. I wish he had a little bit better control over his substance abuse and stuff. And it's sad to see he died so young, you know, so unexpected, young age. Because I got such great memories of him and Kevin Nash. They were so cool that they made bad guys cooler than the good guys.
Dude, he was
when you tuned in, I wanted to watch the end. I mean, I loved Sting. Sting was great, but I wanted to watch the NWO kick everybody else's ass.
Survey says.
Yeah, I mean,
man. One more for the good guys.
Yeah,
that's what it was, man.
Who wasn't looking forward to what the next NWO commercial was on?
Oh my God, those vignettes
Nitro to see what those guys were doing.
Those vignettes were the shit, man.
They were awesome. They were just too good. So, all right, guys, thank you for letting me jump on. I just wanted to say that real quick when I saw the link it dropped in there. And
no, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And like I said, guys, go check out Joe's channel and check out his Reaper Destroyer, that book's gonna be dope as shit.
Yeah,
But real quick, man, before you go,
stop back anytime, man.
Yeah, dude, anytime. But real quick before you go, what's his best match, man? What's your favorite moment? What's his best match?
Hall's best match. Oh man, that is hard. Because I loved him so much in the stuff he did in WCW, I got such fond memories. But there wasn't a lot that I thought he had like stellar matches in WCW.
Yeah.
You know, he played his character, he played it well. I would say the Intercontinental Championship ladder match with Shawn Michaels.
Yep,
is probably the tops for me.
Yeah, I mean that's the first one, man. That's the one that started it all off. But all right, Joe, appreciate you, man.
All right, guys.
All right, take
and
care,
rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Long live the bad guy. Talk to you guys later.
Have a good night.
Hey, man.
Sweet.
Yeah. And the good thing, as Joe was saying, is that he had alcohol problems, but the good thing was he got in touch with DDP, and DDP helped him and Jake Roberts, because I think Jake the Snake would not be with us today if he hadn't.
Oh God, no.
Gotten help with DDP.
Yeah, and the fact that like that, and that goes to show you how deeply ingrained these guys are. Like we see them on the TV screen, and we know what little bit about their lives and everything that we read and whatnot. But these guys spend like Nash was saying that in that God. And by the way, that friggin' tweet that Nash put out, man, that was friggin' heartbreaking. But like he said, he's like I spent more time with Scott Hall than any other human being in my life. You know, these guys were on the road, you know, 260, 270 days a year, you know, like they were home maybe a month or two at best through the year. The rest of the time they're on the road. They're on the shows with these shows with each other. These guys are like, you know, and these guys form some serious bonds, man. And you could tell that for Page, helping these guys and keeping them around and keeping them healthy and keeping them alive was a big deal for him. And in Leg Kick's right, he did a lot for Scott Hall. And to Scott Hall's credit, he took that help and got himself better. So, and like we saw, and we see, and it still happens today. Like we saw it with Moxley. So, we want to keep, you know, so it's good that there's that safety net out there, and that there's somebody out there that's looking for him. But, what about you, Johnny? What's your big Scott Hall moment?
It was kind of before my time, so I didn't see much.
I hear you.
I saw some of the NWO stuff that I went back and watched the ladder match that Joe just talked about, but I'm not equipped to say what was like my favorite match, but I like to hear him talk. I like to just watch him walk in the ring, and it was fun. It was, this was just sad, man.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a tragedy, like I said, because it all happened, you know, it all happened by accident, and then it seemed like the surgery went well, and then just like that, you know, and complications, and but I saw that DDP offered to help Big E with his recovery afterward. Cody said, no matter what, love him or hate him, you love the big guy. Yeah, and here's the thing, that ladder match, I actually went back and rewatched that ladder match, dude, and went back and watched both of them. They're both awesome. They're really good. They still hold up today. They're just as good as they were then. But I think the second one was actually a little bit better. But you can't not watch that first ladder match and realize that, and think about the fact that up to that point, nobody had ever done that before. Ever. And like, credit to both him and Shawn Michaels, man. They put together a friggin' legendary match. And that match, I think, is what really propelled him. Like he was already a pretty big star at that point because of the Razor Ramon character. But that in-ring performance, I really think cemented him. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The more I look at his work and the more I realize how big of a deal, how big of an impact he had in this industry, the fact that guy never held a world championship is a freaking travesty. It really is. It's just wrong. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it wouldn't matter as much today at this point, but if I was the WWE or the NWA, I would posthumously award him a world heavyweight title. You know, I mean, I know it's just largely symbolic, and I know that it doesn't really matter as much as if he had actually won one during his career. But the fact that guy doesn't have a world title to his name is just, to me, is just freaking wrong.
Right. Yeah, I like it. One of my matches was when Lightning Kid came in.
Mm.
Shawn
Michaels, 1, 2, 3 Kid.
No, yes, Waltman.
Yep, Shawn Waltman.
Yeah, when he was a Lightning Kid in the independent circuit, and he came in,
right?
And
he 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yeah, he beat Scott Hall to become the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yeah, which was like if he doesn't get it, like, again, selfless guy, letting him get that win over him. If Shawn Waltman doesn't get that win, you don't get his career at all. Like, he would have been a perennial jobber for the rest of his life.
He'd have been a Barry Horowitz.
Yeah, he would have been like a Barry Horowitz or Louis. Which there was another friend that they had that they were trying to kind of elevate, was Louis Spicolli. You remember him?
Yeah, yep.
He was a friend of theirs, and they were trying to elevate him, but unfortunately, he passed away. He was super young.
Yeah, he was.
Dude, he was in his 20s.
Didn't he wrestle against Tanahashi in New Japan?
Louis Spicolli?
No. Scott Hall.
Scott Hall. Yeah. God, what was it? Was it a tag match? Let's see here. Yeah, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think it was a tag match. No, it was a singles match. Yeah. Yeah, and actually Tanahashi was talking about that today. That was back, man. That was back in like 2000, and that was like 2001. But yeah, it was he was actually Tanahashi was a rookie. And he actually he didn't just wrestle Tanahashi, he actually wrestled Keiji Muto as well. Yeah, he had a he had a pretty decent stint in Japan. God, that was a really long time. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was his early days. He was like 24, 25.
No, this was back in like, no, this was after the demise of WCW. This was back in like 2001.
You sure?
Yeah. 2001, 2002, because Tanahashi was actually I think Tanahashi had just finished his excursion, or he had just finished his excursion, or he was still technically a young lion. And so it was kind of surprising that he would because I think Tanahashi beat him in that. It's been so long, but he wasn't in New Japan for very long. He was only there for like maybe 6 months, a year at best. But yeah, that was towards the end of his like in-ring wrestling career. But yeah, dude, shoot, I didn't even remember that. Leg Kick said the weirdest loss Scott Hall had was when he lost the AWA tag titles with Kurt Hennig to the Wrecking Crew by countout. It was strange. Yeah, that's when different wrestling companies started playing with different rules, and they had these rules where if certain things happened the titles could change hands, but then if they happen in another way, they could. Remember they had like the top rope rule.
Yep.
For the longest time, and it was WCW NWA, where if you threw someone, like, you couldn't throw someone over the top rope. Like there was that rule, and then there was also the rule where you couldn't you couldn't come off the turnbuckle. There's all kinds of weird rules. Yeah. Dude, that back then, man, it was so screwy, and it was just like half the time you couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. There was a ladder match back in the early 80s. Can't remember who was on. Yeah, it wasn't a real ladder match though. It was I think I know what you're talking about. There was a ladder that was used as a weapon, but it wasn't really like a ladder match. Like they didn't have to use the ladder to get the belts or anything like that. But it's how Steve Austin kept his titles in. Yeah, because he would throw people over the top rope and get disqualified. Yeah, it was the Crockett era, I think, and they just had all these weird rules and stuff. It was like that was also back in the day when for tag teams where if you had to hold on to the little rope, the tag rope, and if you let go of that rope, and I don't think you got disqualified, but if you weren't holding that rope when you made a tag, then it wasn't a legal tag. Yeah. So it was all kinds of weird stuff. But then like another company, the rules would be completely different. So it was like, it was such a weird friggin' time. But yeah, for me, man, best moments, like his definitive, like just matches, both of those ladder matches they have with Shawn Michaels. Like I said, I thought the second one was better, but I think the reason why it was better is because they had already done the first one. And so they kind of knew what to expect. And the other thing too was the ladder was a lot sturdier the second time around. Because if you watch that first ladder match, dude, they beat the shit out of that freaking ladder. That ladder was coming, like literally he was climbing. He was like, I didn't know if I was going to make it to the top of it. Because I thought he said it felt like it was going to fall apart, and it pretty much did. Nice. But the second ladder match I think was like the pacing of it and the design of it was better. But then again, that's because they already had the first one, so that first one is iconic. All right. But the other matches he had that I thought were like his best matches were the matches he had with Bret Hart. He had. Was it the Royal Rumble? I can't remember what year. But I mean, obviously, that's the thing about Bret. Bret's one of those guys that he can wrestle a bigger guy, and make it look really good. Like, I mean, he's Bret freaking Hart. But those matches, if you guys haven't seen and it took me a while to remember those because I was like, oh yeah, let me check those out, and I was like, oh yeah. But those matches were fantastic. But again, I mean, he's in there with freaking Bret Hart, but then again, it's him. But the definitive moment has to be jumping ship to WCW. Like that's the linchpin. That's the pivotal. That's the turn. Yep. But Courtney said, yeah, keep Kevin Nash, Bagwell, and X-Pac in your person. Yeah, I saw Sean. That was pretty tough to see too, with Sean Waltman put a couple of tweets out there, and that's another dude that's had he's had some serious issues to overcome. But I don't know if DDP was helping him out as well, but. Yeah, that's someone he should definitely reach out to, especially now. I know he's helping Bagwell. Bagwell was in rough shape, dude. Whoo, Bagwell was in rough shape, but
yeah, and that bash at the beach that Joe was talking about when Hogan came out. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, again, like I said, it's just a turning point, a complete turning point for the industry. Not just the change in characters, the change in tone. Like he said, they weren't afraid to expose the business. You know, and a lot of people, and there's people, like I said, there's people that like that and there's people that don't like that. A lot of people feel like kayfabe was already starting to die, in my opinion, at that point. They drove the final stake through its heart.
Yeah, with that curtain call at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Like they pretty much, like I said, like they pretty much slew the dragon at that point. That was it. Kayfabe was gone at that point. But in a way, it almost needed to happen because wrestling was starting to kind of fall off a little bit. I mean, WWE was still putting on insane friggin' events and everything, but there was interest. But the outside interest, like the fans loved it, but the outside interest was kind of waning. And then this happened, and everything went crazy. And in a way, what happened with WCW was too much of a good thing, because Bischoff got Hollywood crazy, because Hollywood went nuts over WCW. They went absolutely. They were making movies about him, for God's sake. But Bischoff kind of went Hollywood crazy, and that's one of the things that kind of led to the demise. But yeah, like that moment when he and Nash jumped ship, they lit the fire, and it turned into a freaking inferno. And the old industry was consumed, and the new industry came out of its ashes. You know, for better or worse, whether you like it or you dislike it, that's the catalyst. But and you know, talking and just mentioning the whole Hollywood thing and the situation with Bischoff and then Russo, that just makes me even madder that he's like, the fact that Scott Hall never held the world title, but David Arquette did. That shit, no, like, no, legitimately, I'm thinking about that. I'm going, that is complete and utter bullshit. Are you serious? I'm like, oh my God, dude. Russo held the freaking belt, but not Scott Hall. Like, he posthumously.
The only explanation I've heard for this, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but like some guys from that time said, like, guys like him and Jake Roberts, they just couldn't trust him to hold the belt.
Well, I'm
not saying I agree. Yeah. I'm not saying I agree. I'm not saying I agree with this. It's just the excuse they say.
I think that's a bullshit excuse. I hear what you're saying, and I understand that. I still think it's a bullshit excuse. He should have been the champion years before his problems really got bad. He should have been a world champion in WWF. Okay. He should have been a world champion in WWF. And he definitely should have been a world champion at least once in WCW. So in my personal opinion, and like I said, if NWA really, like the NWA, if they really, really, really wanted to like pay respects, like in a serious way, I would get another world title belt made, and I would present that to his family and say, this is his. He should have had this a long time ago. WWE should be doing this right now. They should be making a new Gold Eagle belt, and it should be awarded to his family posthumously, saying this should have happened a long time ago. And make it official and put it on the records. And I feel like that's, like, me personally, I feel like that's righting a wrong. Again, it's symbolic. It doesn't hold the same weight as, you know, him actually, you know, being given a title run that he deserved. But I feel like it's, like I said, I feel like it's righting a wrong.
Yeah.
So,
and you got politics involved with some of that stuff, like Hogan never wanting somebody like Jake the Snake to be better than him.
Hogan, I'm gonna tell you something, man. The older I get, the more I look at Hogan, I'm like, you were just such a dick. I loved it. I'll be honest. I loved Hulk Hogan when I was a kid. The only person I liked more than Hogan was the Ultimate Warrior. So when Ultimate Warrior beat Hogan, I was happy. But like, and I'm not going to take anything away from Hogan. The industry wouldn't be what it is without Hogan. Okay, he's another one of those guys. But that guy, people talk about Cena burying people. Hogan buried more people than God.
Yep.
So, there's that. It's just
we can spend an hour talking about that.
we could spend days talking about any of this stuff. But let me go ahead and let me see real quick here. So drop that in there again. If anybody wants to come in and real quick and share their favorite moments of Scott Hall's career. But coming out of this, it's getting to the point where a lot of these guys, I'm really thankful for people like DDP. And the Cauliflower Alley Club, these groups that help wrestling, like I said, help guys like Buff Bagwell, like Scott Hall, Jake the Snake Roberts, these guys that basically destroyed themselves for our entertainment, and kind of got thrown and lost by the wayside. So
yeah.
It's scary. It's scary to see the way some of these guys' lives have deteriorated, but it's good to see that there's people that still care about them.
Right. And Bob and I were talking about it before we went on live today. McMahon has so much money. Why can't he make a physical? Courtney's there. Why can't he make a physical? Courtney's there, Bob. You want to bring her in?
Oh,
why can't?
Sorry about that.
Why can't McMahon get a building for the Hall of Fame built?
Well, there should be one in Stanford. There should be one at their headquarters.
There should be a WWE. There should be actually a physical Hall of Fame building.
Yeah.
Then he could do something where maybe for the month you have tribute to Scott Hall, and you put videos up of his matches or little segments, or do something with his attire, with anything for the fans to be able to go there and see that.
Yeah, and then like do some kind of charity thing, because I know that a lot of his money went to taking care of health issues and stuff like that, so they needed some assistance, and God bless the fans. They did a GoFundMe to get the money for his surgeries and whatnot, and they ended up getting way more than they needed. So, but WWE could do something like that and help these guys out that, like I said, basically wrecked themselves for that company and for our entertainment, But
you got your bad guy toothpick there, Courtney.
Gotcha.
I've been wanting to do it all day, and I just thought tonight was the perfect time to do it.
There you go. So, what about you, Courtney? What was your favorite Scott Hall moment or match?
Well, my favorite moment would have to be, because I think I remember being at that night show you was talking about. I remember going to night show, and when that music hit, everybody was like, oh, having a cow, and then he was just magical on that mic.
Oh yeah, he's one of the best. He was one of the best at cutting promo. There's a reason why. There's a reason why whenever they would come out first, they would let him do the survey. So they would let him cut that promo, because honestly, of all those guys, he was probably the best one on the stick.
Oh yeah. There
you go. For life. Yeah. Like I said, without and as much as I love Bullet Club, without the NWO, there's no Bullet Club.
Right.
And without Bullet Club, there's no AEW.
No.
So you can trace this lineage back all the way to that moment. And like I said, man, these guys had so much of a bigger impact than people realize. So much of a bigger impact than people realize. But yeah, but what about his matches? What do you think? He was, the weird thing about him is like he had some amazing matches, like I said, but he was such a workhorse kind of guy, you know?
Yes, he was. I've noticed that when I was little and growing up and watching him. I liked what he did with when they put him with Eddie Guerrero for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm remembering that right.
Yep.
So that program was like, man, they're really doing something with these fellows right here, and
yeah, and
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like Joe was talking about, and like Frank was talking about, and Johnny, guys like Sean Waltman, without him taking that pin. And here's the thing, he was a much bigger star than Sean Waltman was at that time. Way bigger. Without him taking that pin, Sean Waltman's career doesn't happen.
Right.
You know? And in a time when you had guys like Hogan and you had guys like Savage and who did not want to lose to anybody. They were like, I'm not taking a pin for anybody. It's like you're going down for me. I'm not going down for you. At a time when you had guys like that, to have someone who's like, oh yeah, this guy that almost nobody knows or nobody's ever heard of, yeah, I'll take the pin for that guy to help put him over, to help build him up. Having somebody like that, like today, I honestly think he kind of set a standard for people today, because back then you didn't have a lot of people like that.
Right, and you take these indie acts like Sahara 7. She even said it yesterday in her Instagram post that he really influenced her style of wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a unique guy. He was a big dude who could move pretty. Like, he kind of reminded me of Andrade. He kind of reminded me of Andrade, who's a bigger dude. Like, Andrade's a big dude. People don't realize how big of a dude he is, how big he is. But he can move. Like, he can move. And Scott was like that. He was definitely, between him and Nash, he was definitely the more talented of the two. Like, I'm not taking a crap on Kevin Nash. Nash was, for what he did, he was a good big man. But when it comes to just a pure wrestling talent, Scott Hall was definitely the better of the two. Yeah. But we are getting really close to the end of the hour here, though, guys. You guys want to touch on? I'm looking at some of the news, and it's just like, oh God, oh man, Frank. All right, you know what? I want to talk about. Screw Raw. I don't want to talk about Raw. Raw was just. I love, like you said, Frank. I love the tribute that they did. I thought it was really good. I love the different tributes that everybody did. That when Kevin Owens started the show with "Hey Yo," I thought Edge's promo was great. Although I was hoping for something more creative than "It's your fault. It's the crowd. Your fault. It's your fault." I mean, it's freaking Edge, so the promo is going to be great. But I'm like, really, dude? That's what you're going with? It's all your fault. Like, this is what everybody does. But I don't give a shit about WrestleMania this year, man. The more I sat there, and dude, I sat through Raw for two reasons. One, I was hoping to God that we were going to finally see Cody. And I want to know what they were gonna like. I want to see this. I want to see what he sold his soul for. I'm just kidding. But I also was like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you one last chance. Make me excited for WrestleMania. And nothing. This might have been the worst Raw in the last 3 or 4 months. It was bad. As I'm watching it, and it's not even that it was particularly bad. I'm just like, I don't care about any of this. I don't care about Dave. You've made me completely give up on Damian Priest. Finn Balor, what they're doing to Finn Balor is a travesty. Kevin Owens' promo was good, and then they did this stupid thing with inserting Seth Rollins into whatever. Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega, I don't care. Omos versus Commander Aziz, I don't care. Mysterios versus the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business have been absolutely crapped on. Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven, because I refuse to call her Dewdrop. Was okay. Take care, Courtney. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you here. But and then Riddle versus Montez Ford was an okay match. Was a decent match, but it was like the ending was stupid.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of this. And I'm looking at we were looking at the card for WrestleMania. There's 3 matches that matter. The rest of it is shit. So, and even if so,
that's because there's 2 wrestlers that matter, and the rest they don't care.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about the rest of it. And here's the thing. I was actually talking to this dude, and like I said, I could book a better WrestleMania in 10 minutes with the roster that they have available to them. I could book a better WrestleMania in 10 minutes than this shit, and make you care about it. No problem, Courtney. We're actually about to wrap this up anyway. So appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing your memories of Scott Hall with us.
Yeah, and they used to have those matches drawn out from like months prior.
Yeah, they would
build up for it. Yeah,
yeah, so that you would give a shit and nothing. So if Cody does end up being Seth's opponent, which he probably will be. Listen, like a lot of people are still thinking that he's going to be the Ring of Honor guy.
No.
Cody's going to the WWE. Okay. It's almost a foregone conclusion to sports. It's just a matter of when he's going to debut and what's going to happen to him after.
My deal is what if Cody doesn't sign till after WrestleMania? What do you do with Rollins? You got to throw him in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
That guy has been shit on so bad, dude. He's one of he is arguably the most talented guy on their roster.
You're hoping for Cody to have no backup.
Yeah. Well, you know what oh God, dude. Do you know who they said that if everything with Cody ends up falling through, which I say it's like my personal opinion from what I've read and everything, I think it's 90% done. But if it does end up falling through, did you hear what what Seth's potential opponent would be? Corey Graves.
Not gonna lie, I don't know who that is.
That's the
he's the announcer.
That's Carmella's boy toy.
Yeah, it's Carmella's guy. He's the guy. He's the CM Punk wannabe.
Yeah, he's got all the tats and everything. He's the announcer.
Yeah. He's literally a CM Punk wannabe.
Yeah.
No problem, Courtney. That's what we're here for. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But all right. So real quick, good things that happened in AEW. Hangman versus Dante Martin was cool. Cool to see him putting over a young guy. It was a decent match. Set up the 6-man tag next week, which we all know what this is leading to. At Double or Nothing, it's going to be Hangman and the Bucks and Kenny Omega versus, or it's going to be Hangman and the Bucks against Cole and Red Dragon, and then Kenny's going to be caught in the middle of it or whatever. Moxley versus Bryan Danielson versus JD Drake and Anthony Henry was freaking fantastic. If you have not seen that match, go watch that match. They beat the freaking piss out of these guys. They work together so well. Bryan Danielson might be the best wrestler alive.
To me, that's a fact.
Awesome. What's that?
To me, that's a fact. No doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no, and having friggin' William Regal there, that the promo that William Regal cut up, it was a half shoot, half work. I was almost in tears, like legitimately. I love that guy to death. I met him once. He was awesome. I hope I get to meet him again someday. And this was the best thing on the show. 100%. A+, 5-star, whatever you want to call it. I honestly I think it's awesome that Jeff Hardy is in AEW. I love the fact that the Hardy Boys are going to have that one last run. I really feel like they wasted Jeff's debut on a really lackluster storyline. And it felt weird. And I want better things for Andrade. I want better things for Jeff and Matt. This felt kind of bleh to me. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of
Flat.
Okay. But it's awesome that Jeff's there. Like when his music hit, the place went nuts.
Yeah.
But I do think it's funny that he had to do a little bit of a dance before he went down there to save his brother from getting the shit kicked out of him. So, but I just want better things for Andrade. Wardlow cut a pretty good promo. A little bit of a WWE feel to the whole Wardlow's World thing, but they had to set up for his new T-shirt. Jurassic Express versus the Acclaim was a pretty good match. Thunder Rosa versus Layla Hirsch was really mid. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think I know what the deal is with Layla Hirsch. Why she's having some spotty matches. I think her body design and size is messing with people. I think because I see them trying to do moves with her that they're not landing right, but I think it's because she's just built so different. You look at she's built very unique. She's got a very unique build. She's almost I kind of said that she's
John Silver.
She's the John Silver of the women's division, and they're not used to having someone built like that. I mean, she's built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta run. My manager locked his keys in the office.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So you got to drive all the way out there?
Yeah, it's about 35 minutes.
Oh my
it's closer
God.
than home.
That's cool, man. Yeah, and we also had a new
For life, Mr. Scott Hall.
Yeah,
rest in peace.
Yes, sir. But
I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, take it easy, brother.
Bye, man.
Finish it off. New TNT champion. Sammy is no longer champion. Scorpio Sky finally gets his due. Gets to show us what he's got. I like Scorpio Sky. I think it's a good move. I also think that he's going to lose the title to Wardlow. It might not happen this week, but it's going to happen either to Wardlow or to Keith Lee. And yeah, that was there was a lot of good stuff this week. There was unfortunately a lot of bad, but anyway,
I just hate them table spots, man. That was so unnecessary.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I hope that they kind of change up a little bit. But anyway, guys, that's the show for this week. Appreciate everybody stopping in. Joe Sontag, and like I said, anytime, brother, anytime. Johnny, thanks for coming on. Sharon,
My
Courtney, also, as usual, Frank. And yeah, real quick, one more for the road.
Hey, yo.
Survey says one more for the good guys. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah.